Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for film lovers. Every Monday, I'm joined by famous artist Danny Haas. And spiritual advisor Pertalexis.
A movie hasn't hit me this hard, I think, since I've watched Moonlight.
And together as friends forever, we discuss recently watched movies. Later in this episode, for Leading Ladies Month, we'll be focusing on A Woman Under the Influence, starring Gena Rowlands, chosen by Danny. Are the rumors true? Is this one of the greatest acting performances of all time? We'll find out together. There's a lot of talk in Discord about what my pick might be. You know?
We know.
What's Slim gonna pick next week? Is it gonna be a happy movie?
Everybody knows.
We're all thinking it.
You heard about this? You seen this talk in Discord, Berto?
Yeah, I did. People, they need a change.
An emotional change. Well, I got news for you. I'm not picking a movie next week. We have a special guest.
Oh, baby.
Next week. And I think they left a voicemail later in the show that we're going to get to where they announce their pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say who it is, but it's Leading Ladies Month.
You guess.
And if you think for a second that we're going to have another white man on this show in Leading Ladies Month, you have another thing coming. I was about to say we have a lot to get to, but we're recording this early on May the Star Wars Be With You Day, May 4th, a Tuesday, Season 9 of Apex Legends release date day.
It's a big day.
I think we know which is the more important
Remember it.
part of that day, but I don't think we need to get into it.
No.
Danny, you sold out of a big time print
Oh,
at like
gosh.
3 a.m. or something, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Yeah, big Star Wars Day release. Felt good. I didn't like that it was released at midnight Pacific, but hey, I'm just the artist. That's
Midnight
about
Pacific.
all
That's
I do.
when people that buy prints, they know Midnight Pacific is the time to do it.
But it was done, and people bought it and are happy, and I'm glad that they're happy to have my art.
Pardo, were you able to snag a print from Danny?
Not yet. Not yet. Are there any available?
No.
Going off.
VHSvillage.com.
Check eBay for people that are probably trying to flip that like it's some kind of Lenny Dykstra rookie card.
Like it's a sneaker. Can't wear those on your feet.
So I was going to say, what movies did you guys watch this week? But Danny, I think you're out of the other two hosts, you and Proto, you only watched maybe one movie this week, right? What did you watch?
I watched episode 1, Star Wars. It's not even arguably the best. It is the best. Everyone knows it's the best.
Excuse me.
So that's what I watched. I love that movie dearly.
What's your favorite part of Star Wars 1?
When
Best scene?
when Obi-Wan yells no after Qui-Gon gets stabbed in the chest.
It's kind of a downer moment.
We talked about a quick turnaround time for this episode. I watched
What?
6 movies since Thursday.
Holy moly.
If I can be brutally frank with the both of you,
I need you to be frank.
put in some work.
Jeez, let's run through it.
Listen, I got my second Pfizer shot knocked me on my rear end, so I had to relax and just let the magic of the medicine of cinema take over and heal
I respect
me.
that.
Unfortunately, I watched the new Mortal Kombat movie.
I'm sorry you did that.
I went in with an open mind
No, you didn't.
and an open heart, and I watched it, and I did not like it.
Oh,
Danny, you loved it though. You gave it 5 stars.
I give it 4 stars, but also I don't have a history with it. So I don't really remember the first movie, but I never played the game. I just wanted fun.
Really?
I just wanted fun, Matt.
Never?
I wanted fun. I mean, I went to my buddy's house to play it on his console because my parents wouldn't buy it. But it wasn't a game for me. I didn't care.
Wow.
I was more of a Street Fighter guy.
So what did you think of Jean-Claude's movie?
I don't remember it. Didn't care.
Are we?
I know. That sounds amazing, actually.
God, that would be legit doing that movie. Party, did you play Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
I played a little bit of both. I never had either of them. I probably played more Street Fighter though. I feel like that was just more readily available. I wasn't much of a fighter game person.
But you're never about violence.
No, he's more of a Myst kind of console player or PC
Star Wars
game.
chess.
Yeah.
Love Myst.
Yeah, Myst. That's the.
How about Indiana Jones and the Search for Atlantis? Now we're talking.
Oh my gosh.
You guys remember
Holy
that?
moly.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, baby.
Is that
Point
like
and
Myst?
click adventure? Yeah, pretty much. But you're Indiana. And you're pointing and you're clicking things and you're taking the rubber duck and you're putting it into the toilet roll and then you're saving the world with that.
Did that include like audio of the characters, or was it just all text storyline?
Oh no, at this point it was audio. Yeah, and it was amazing. Voice actors, Nazis.
The Nazis,
You know?
are still around back then.
1917.
I also watched The Expendables on Amazon Prime.
doing?
Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham. I realized that I kind of stalled on my Sylvester Stallone journey recently when I watched all those Rambo movies. Man alive, what a movie. What a picture. I should have included that in a tweet. Al Pacino saying that. Sylvester Stallone's face in this movie, I can't figure it out. I know he was, while filming, it's kind of publicly available that he was just jacked up on HGH. But if someone can maybe find a screen grab of Sylvester Stallone's face from the Expendables film and paste that in chat, I'd appreciate it. But there's something going on there. Something. Similar era. He is jacked up, but his face is very strange. Also, Mickey Rourke is in it. And Mickey Rourke has had a history of,
Faces.
Faces. His fingernails.
That face has seen some things.
His fingernails are also very strange. I don't know if when you get plastic surgery, I've heard that you can't get plastic surgery on your hands. That's like the one thing that you can't get done. So your hands always look old. I think that might be Expendables 2 or 3, Marcy.
Matt's knowledge on plastic surgery right now.
That's just what I've heard from my years of watching reality television. And his fingernails are like pink. It's just very strange. But anyway, the movie just felt like a 90s action movie made in 2010, which is, as legit as it can get.
Right up your alley.
I was all in. Then I watched the OG Mortal Kombat, which just got added to HBO Max. So that was a lot of fun. Let's see. The one other thing I did want to bring up before we get into our movie, Woman Under the Influence, which is streaming in a few places, Criterion and HBO Max. Last week, we created a new $12 tier where those folks that are paid up for the year could choose a movie. And we would do that movie for the Patreon. So whatever they choose, within reason, we have some ground rules. We would do that movie. So we got one pick in. We got 3 picks in. One of which I'll reveal, and I think the other 2 are listening right now. So let me know if you're comfortable with me revealing. Kev picked My Dinner with Andre.
What a pick.
From Louis
Incredible
Malle,
pick.
who I went on a Malle journey not too long ago, if you remember correctly, Elevator to the Gallows. Au revoir, les enfants.
Say it again.
So I'm excited to watch that. That's been on my watch list. So that's going to be a Patreon exclusive episode. Really excited. The Fire Within was another one that I watched of his. Great pick. Marcy made a huge pick.
Big pick. Probably one of the biggest.
This is one of
If
the
I can be
biggest
honest.
episodes we might ever do.
Only for patrons too. Crazy.
Disney Pictures Hercules, the animated motion picture.
My God.
Whew.
Let it sink in.
Who does the voice of Hercules in that?
It's a good question.
Is that Michael J. Fox?
It's a real good question.
J. Fox. 2 weeks in a row with Michael J. Fox related humor from Proto. I don't know what's in
On the
his
brain.
crawl.
It's on
Just
the
a
brain.
name that comes, you know?
Tate Donovan, is that real? Marcy says. What's Tate Donovan up to these days?
Hercules 4. Straight to DVD. Not even a D+.
Tate Donovan was in Rocket Man.
Oh my gosh.
Weren't you in love with that movie, Danny?
Who was it in love
Tate
with
Donovan
Rocket
was also
Man?
in the OC. How come no one brought that up? Why am I the one bringing up the OC business?
Wait, the Elton John movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking
You
about.
love that, Danny?
I thought you were talking about the other. Was it not called Rocket Man?
Rocketeer. It was
Oh,
called
you're talking
Rocketeer.
about Rocket Man, the guy, the guy who goes into space,
Yeah.
and farts in the spacesuit.
These parts of the space.
I thought you liked the Elton John movie too.
Why wouldn't I like the Elton John movie? It's got Elton John music in it.
Just bringing it up. I'm not trying to be combative.
Oh, Proto didn't like it.
Proto hated it.
Oh, well.
Well, Forrest revealed his pick. This is another big pick. And I feel like there's a theme popping up from the $12 tier folks.
Mm-hmm.
Little animated picture called Moana.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited. If you want to
These are three
join,
big movies.
if you wanted to join our Patreon, you can do so at 70mmpod.com. There's a link, $4 a month. You can get access to these exclusive episodes and join our Discord. And it's a lot of fun. Let's get into the movie.
Let's do
A
it.
Woman Under the Influence, 1974. This is Danny's pick for Leading Ladies Month. Proto, please.
Mabel is an American housewife. She has 3 kids, a 2-story house, a hardworking husband, plenty of friends, and a night all to herself. She has the American dream. But her husband Nick knows there is something wrong when she acts strangely in front of their friends. Afraid of what has become of her, Nick has Mabel committed to an institution for 6 months in hopes that she will come home healed. While she is away, Nick handles Tony, Angelo, and Maria the only way he knows how. And when Mabel comes home 6 months later, we find that nothing has really changed, and what has Mabel feeling sick has not gone away. A Woman Under the Influence.
Jenna Rollins, nominated for her role in this movie, did not win. She lost to, I think it was Ellen Bernstein. Pretty shocking that she did not win after this performance. IMO. Let's see, what is the first thing that we should get into for this movie? Did we talk about how you came upon this pick, Danny?
I think I kind of elaborated a little bit, but I was really looking for not just like this amazing movie that we've all seen with a lead, a woman lead, either director or actress. I wanted to find a performance that I hadn't seen, that we could talk about. And when I was searching other like lists for performances by women, Jenna's performance came up so many times, and multiple times, as one of the best performances ever by a woman on screen. And so it almost felt like a no-brainer when I was reading about it. So it wasn't really, it didn't feel like a safe pick that we'd all would love, but it did feel like something that should be talked about for sure. And also, I had never seen, I know Cassavetes' name, but I looked through everything and there wasn't, I hadn't seen any Cassavetes movies before this,
Right.
At all. So I didn't know his work. I didn't know his style of work, even though he seems more revered as a director now than he was then, even though he was nominated for this movie.
This is also his most popular movie on Letterboxd.
Yeah, had you seen anything Cassavetes related, Proto?
No, and I hadn't even really heard of him until I got on Letterboxd. and this was a director that kept coming up. And I didn't even, after finding out who he was, I didn't recognize the titles of any of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him right now. This A Woman Under the Influence is his most popular. Then it's Opening Night, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, Shadows, and then Faces. So yeah, all these movies, I know nothing about them. So yeah, this was like really going in blind for me.
Yeah, if you're a Cassavetes head, I think the Cinenauts are doing The Killing of a Chinese Bookie by the time this episode comes out. I think that might be their next episode, so by all means, check that out. Yeah, the only other thing I knew him from was Rosemary's Baby, which I think I referenced last week. He was the husband in that, and he's an accomplished actor. He's in a ton of movies. Maybe the first thing on my list from A Woman Under the Influence, just to get out of the way now, Peter Falk's hat in this movie.
Yeah.
And just the aura of Peter Falk. I can't get past Peter Falk, the man, or anything about him in this picture. Pardo, what did you think of him?
Oh boy. Where to start with this guy? I mean,
Disclaimer, I've never seen Columbo anything. I think Princess Bride is probably the only Peter Falk anything I've ever seen in my life. Safe space.
I think the thing that's stands out most to me in this movie is how my perception of the characters morphs throughout the movie from the beginning to the end. From the beginning, Peter Falk's character of Nick seems like a charismatic, leader who is the life of the party. He's the person people want to be around. He always has a plan. He's loud, but he gives direction. He keeps things moving. But yeah, as it goes on, it gets to the point where, by the end of it, he's terrifying and he's grating. And at any moment, you don't know what he's going to do. The word that kept coming back to me at the end of this is that he's a ghoul. He is like a human ghoul by the end of this movie. And I was creeped out by him by the end of it.
It's funny you mention his hat too, because I watched an interview with Peter and Jenna, and he talks about the first scene he filmed for this movie. And it's the scene where they're driving the truck in the rain down the street and he's caught up that night. And he said they're about to call action and John yells, "Wait." And he runs up to the truck with the hat and slaps it on his head. And Peter said he had never seen the hat before until 3 seconds before his first scene. He didn't even know what he looked like in it, didn't know how to act in it. And he said he just was worried how stupid he'd look in this hat.
The hat was frustrating.
It's so weird.
Very strange.
He's definitely trying to look through the brim of the hat, and he's not seeing anything.
I do want to point out that this is Leading Ladies Month, and we're just talking about the movie, and the first thing I thought of was Peter Falk's hat. So I think there's a make culpa on that just right off the bat. But Jenna, her performance in this movie, this is the first thing I've ever seen her in, I think. And it's one of the most enrapturing performances by any actor, maybe that I've ever seen. Her performance deserves to be at the top of, any actor, actress, whatever you prefer list. I was really blown away by her entire role in this. I thought it was mind blowing. Danny, what did you think?
Yeah, she's staggering in this film to watch and completely mesmerizing. And what's crazy about her is there are points where it doesn't feel like acting. Like she's doing such a job where I almost feel like I feel like I'm watching a manic person. Like her just little ticks, her eyes, her mouth, the stuff the thumbs to the side, the making the noise. Like there were so many movements and gestures and the way she spoke and her eye contact. I mean, I couldn't stop just loving this performance because it's insanely good. Like this feels like it has to be top of the curriculum at any sort of film school when it comes to this performance.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm glad that we have a podcast where we aren't film buffs, because I told Casey and I feel insanely under prepared or under whatever to have any sort of conversation about this movie, because it feels insanely bigger than what I can comprehend as far as film goes.
Right.
I didn't really care for her performance, like the first half of the movie, or anyone's performance, or much of the movie at all. I thought it didn't really work for me. And I want to say, like, after I've been thinking about it, I don't really think it was the actors though in the roles. I think it was more, I just didn't really, I think it was the direction, because there wasn't enough information about, I felt like, of what was going on. And maybe that's just his style. You know, it feels very much like, yeah, here's a like a slice of this life. And, you know, it felt like Cassavetes just let the camera roll. And he didn't have it kind of reminded me of watching All or Nothing, the movie we did with Chuck way back at the beginning of the show, where it felt like there wasn't really a script and things were just kind of happening. So it felt like the movie didn't really have any direction, and I wasn't sure of what the expectation was for these characters. And it was like, all right, you know, what's the deal with what's going on? And I just didn't have enough information to know, just like what was happening. Right. So I felt like more frustrated with it. But I don't feel like it was the actor's fault. But because of that, I didn't really enjoy what I was watching on the screen.
I think overall too, it's hard to like enjoy what you're seeing, even if it wasn't Cassavetes directing this. Like you're seeing a, you know, blue collar family come to grips with potentially a bipolar disorder in the mother and, you know, of the family that they have to send away for 6 months, and then she comes back and, you know, not maybe anything has changed and you have to like deal with that. I think it's going to be an unpleasant watch to begin with, but I will say that I do agree with Proto that the Cassavetes style may not be for me. Like this feels like it would be, I can see this being like revolutionary in the 70s, like Cassavetes doing this almost like stage show on screen, where you're letting the actors kind of just vibe, and maybe that pays off, maybe it doesn't. And Jenna's performance, in my opinion, did pay off, but there's like a lot of scenes that like didn't really connect with me, which was the spaghetti dinner scene. I felt like there was a lot of interplay between the actors that maybe non-actors that I would have just like cut out, or maybe asked for like 4 or 5 more takes of. But at the time, I can see that being like, people are really into this. This is like what I want to see in film. This kind of unkempt, dirty acting and real life on screen. What did you feel about this style of filmmaking, Danny?
Well, I will say that I found the length of this film to be too long. And I think that when I think back through some of the scenes and in between because there feels like there's these specific tentpole scenes for this movie. There's the spaghetti dinner, there's the doctor coming over, there's him taking the kids to the beach. There's like these specific moments that are that moving the story along. But in between that, there's so much dead kind of space where the camera's filming them doing something, I don't know, that's not really progressing the story. But there was something about it that I liked, where it made me more it just made me feel a little bit more off-putting watching these scenes. I don't know. It stretched like this sort of tension for me that it kind of like affected how I viewed the film. And I think it's how like watching her being manic is also like stressing me out. And also the length of the film is stressing me out. So it's kind of like this, like
Danny has to go away for
storm.
6 months after watching this movie.
Like it was just a lot. It was a lot. And honestly, I don't think I would change it. Now, sitting through it all, I feel like it worked on some level for me. So maybe Cassavetes is for me when it comes to some other films. But I don't know yet.
I do want to capture some of our Discord comments, and I still am not sure how to correctly pronounce Anyas's name, so I'm just going to call A for short. What I saw was not a mentally ill woman. I saw a woman who was deeply frustrated by what society expected of her, inflamed by a husband who was drinking the same juice. Yeah, at the onset, I couldn't quite tell if she was an alcoholic and like that was part of the problem, or if it was drugs, because it starts out with her kind of going out on a night on the town, and she goes home with this total dweebo at that bar.
Mm-hmm.
My God, I want to give that guy a wedgie. And very unpleasant scene where he woke up the next morning and was like, didn't realize she was married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought, in some ways, I like the setup for this, but then I also find it frustrating because I feel like the title of the movie, A Woman Under the Influence, you like immediately for me, I think, all right, she's an alcoholic. Right. And then there's this scene early on where she goes to the bar and she drinks like that whole glass of hard liquor, the Seagram 7 or whatever, in one shot. And this guy's like blown away. And it's like, all right, so her family's gone and she's taking this guy back to her house. She's, completely wasted. She's an alcoholic. All right, this is all like following the path. But it seems like a total curveball. Because that's not really what's going on in the movie. It's more about her relationship with her husband, and as it goes on, like that's revealed, but you don't really find that out until the second half. So I think that was part of the struggle, is that there was almost like this expectation from the beginning that the movie is going in one direction. And then Cassavetes doesn't really give you much direction. Like you mentioned the spaghetti dinner scene. And while part of me enjoyed that scene, there were so many moments in these scenes where it seems like they weren't amounting to anything. Like I'm watching this 20-minute scene, but it's not giving me really anything any more about these characters. And it just feels like it's meandering and not really focused. And I think it was at that point where I came out of that scene and nothing seemed to really happen that I was really frustrated with it. But by the end of the movie, I feel like everything comes full circle and it hits like a ton of bricks and it really pays off, but it's a long journey to get there.
Mm-hmm. You could even say that guy at the bar, in the 70s, maybe they wouldn't have viewed it that way, but like 2020, that was like, assault in her home.
Mm-hmm.
Really uncomfortable to watch. Art, I watched this in the Bookie movie, and his style seems very stingy with typical wide shots that give you reactions. He loves to stay on one person, keeping you blind to others in the scene. Sean says them sleeping and having meals in the same room made me super anxious.
The house alone made me anxious.
I feel like I knew every inch of that house by the end of the movie.
Yeah. The house made no sense either. I couldn't figure it out.
Like the kitchen having a private sign on it.
Yeah.
That just like
or was that
crazy.
Yeah, that was the kitchen, and there's a there's a bathroom to the right of it or something. The bathroom was that way as well.
To jump into probably my favorite scene of the movie, which does happen at the end, and we can obviously still kind of roll around. But when they're cleaning up after she returns home from her being, institutionalized, and he, like a moron, has everyone come over to the house for her return.
Idiot.
God, I just wanted to clock.
Smack the shit
Peter
out of him.
Falk. We're having everybody over. Moron. When she asks him if he loves her.
Do you love me? let's go clean up that crap.
Oh,
And his non-reaction was some of the most realist shit I've ever seen in a movie. Like, that is almost worth the entire journey to get to that scene of just human, real emotion between two married people. I thought that was amazing. What did you guys think?
yeah. That scene where she asks him that, and his just inability to connect on an emotional level with her, or really, you find out anyone. Like, this dude is just, he's tone deaf completely in just, relating to people. The scene that did it for me, though, talking about tough scenes, is when they're at the table and she asks her dad to stand up for her.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. Simple talk.
Dad, will you stand up for me?
Sure.
Oh, I don't mean that. Sit down, Dad. Will you please stand up for me?
Well, I don't know what you want me to do. Honey, I don't understand this game.
Oh my God. And he literally physically stands up, and she asks him like 3 times. And then it seems like after that, he gets it. And he says something. He says like, oh, this is my daughter. But then when Peter Falk is telling everyone to leave, he just, meekly bows his head and leaves. And it's like, oh my God, dude, your daughter is here begging for you, begging for help. And he doesn't do anything.
And the mom whispers in his ear, like, do you understand what she means or something? And he gets it. You see it in his eyes that he gets it finally. What's cool is both moms, her mom was played by her actual mom in real life.
Oh, really?
And then Nick's mom is Cassavetes' mom.
Casey in chat says, so obvious that she needs tenderness and literally no one gives it to her. Yeah, I mean, every dude in this movie in that circle, like even the doctor, I wanted to slap him around too.
Oh God.
Like
Was he even a real doctor?
He couldn't step in towards the at that reunion party, be like, hey,
Right.
I don't know if this is a real good idea for her right now. Maybe having 70 people at the house might be a bad idea. Let's slow down here. Or at any point at where the family is hanging out for dinner with her in that entire conversation, nobody throws up the red flag like this is bad news. What's happening here? We should bail. Everyone should bail right now.
Yeah.
And yet you see it on all their faces. That's what's wild. You know they know, but they do nothing.
Or the fact that Mabel's the only one who tries to break the ice and make it normal and tell a joke.
Right.
Right.
Only normal conversation. No jokes. Talk about the weather. Normal.
I can see Proto's hands doing motions when he does that impression too on the camera. It's hilarious.
What's wild is you watch this film, the title already makes you have your opinion set for Mabel going into it. And even though she's the manic one, she only portrays love and she's never she's never at any point in danger of hurting someone else or herself. And yet she's the one that's institutionalized. But Nick, on the other hand, is verbally and physically abusive. And yet he's the one with the power to institutionalize her as if she's the one with the problem.
Right. He should be put
But
away.
in actuality, it's him. And it's insane to watch because it just makes you so frustrated. Because this is that was the times. She had no power.
Yeah, and I think that's what I find genius about this story as it develops is that the beginning I'm thinking, okay, she's an alcoholic, she has issues, but then slowly as once she disappears and you see him with the kids and you see him with the friends and you see him at the house party, it each step forward, you just see how it's shifting the other way to like, this guy is the problem, as you said, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the thing he kept saying to her, like, just be yourself, like as if that's not what she's trying to do, you know, as if she isn't trying to be herself. Like the last thing you want to do when you want someone to be themselves is to tell them they're not doing it and just to do it. You know, it doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to me, it's like horrific. The end of this movie is a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's really tough to watch.
Yeah, Sean, I did read this quote that Sean put in Discord from the wiki. When Richard Dreyfuss appeared on the Mike Douglas show with Peter Falk, he described the film as the most incredible, disturbing, scary, brilliant, dark, sad, depressing movie, and added, "I went crazy. I went home and vomited," which prompted curious audiences to seek out the film capable of making Dreyfuss ill, who is himself bipolar. So he had a very strong connection to the movie. And I did read in the wiki about how, like, I think Peter Falk put up $500,000 to get this movie made.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like one of the first movies to ever be distributed without a sub distributor. Like nobody really wanted this movie. So he was just like, you know, giving it to theaters, and that's what kind of got the ball rolling. So credit to Peter Falk for, you know, doing the legwork like that to believe in Cassavetes at this point of his career. I just had a big problem connecting with the style, his directorial style. The long close-ups of takes that, you know, in my opinion, they just weren't like, I would have reshot or used different takes. They just felt like they just went on and on without anyone yelling cut, and they just kind of used it. Like at the spaghetti dinner scene, I think gets called out a lot as, you know, this really powerful cinematic moment. But I was really not connected to it at all. It was just too loosey-goosey. The random coworkers telling stories. I was just really uncomfortable, like during, and maybe that is the intention, but it wasn't an uncomfortable meaning like, you know, this is great that it's making me feel this way. This is what it should be doing. And that happened a bunch during the movie for my viewing. And I know I you know, and maybe me and Proto, but I think we're kind of the odd people out in terms of the Cassavetes camp. But that's just how I thought about a lot of those scenes.
The spaghetti scene for me, I don't know what it was about it, and why I connected with it. And I don't know if I connected with it on a level of like, this is amazing, but it really hangs with Jenna's performance. And there's just something about finally, I think you really see her like real manic side, her twitches and stuff. And it comes through really big when it's just the two of them, when he tells the guys to go away. And I don't know, you really start to see their characters, the two of them together alone for the first time. And I think that's why I connected the most with it.
Mm-hmm. Roberto, what else is on your list for a woman under the influence?
There's so many just like insane scenes with Nick. I'm not sure what I'm referring to, but I have a note. What is this fight with the guy and his 3 kids? Oh yeah, when the friends come over.
Oh.
And then Nick just goes berserk on this guy, forcing them to leave the house.
After the party in the backyard.
Yeah, the party in the backyard. One of my notes is Nick is a massive idiot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole beach scene. It seems like one of the most iconic scenes is maybe the scene in the truck when they're riding back and he's sharing beers.
I forgot about that scene
with the kids. And there you're just kind of like, wait, what is going on? And just seeing how disconnected Nick is from his wife and his children. And it even had me thinking of just, you know, what do you think? Like, what is his influence on these kids? Like what is it doing to their lives and to their personalities and to their mental well-being? Especially the scene with them tucking into bed. You just see Mabel and she is just so loving, and she has these like, you know, these little in jokes with all of her kids and these whole routines of just like showering them with affection and love. and Nick is watching this, and then he tries to like imitate what he's doing, but it's like a bull in a china shop. Like he's just like so clueless. And that, again, I mean, it was in some ways the ending was beautiful, just seeing her love her children. But then just so also just horrifying knowing that this movie ends with no resolution, no saving grace. It really ends with her gonna wake up for another day of this life with nothing having changed, and either she's gonna, struggle through life in this manic state forever, or she, end her life, or I don't know, something else. And just knowing that this isn't uncommon at all. Like this is many people's lives, living this way and have lived this way. It's so real that it makes it hard to stomach and hard to just expose yourself to see in a movie, because it is so raw in how it's depicted.
I will say the back of the truck scene was probably my second favorite scene. Him sharing the beers with his kids. I feel like that was a pretty realistic depiction of, 70s fathers, I thought that scene was pretty good. Danny, what else is on your list, or do you have any follow-up to Proto's thoughts?
No. Proto is, I feel like he's spot on. I love that take. For me, I'll talk about my favorite scene. When the doctor visits for the first time, when Nick wants to have her committed. That's the best scene in the movie. Jenna's performance kind of floored me to the point of almost like frustration in myself that I had never even remotely known this person outside of her being in The Notebook. And it's crazy to watch the mother-son relationship with Nick and his mom, and how much of a control she has over him. And it's maddening, because you see Jenna and all she's doing is it's a cry for help, and no one's listening to her, and no one is actually showing her, sorry, getting a little misty, not showing her any compassion. And it's so hard to watch. And Jenna's performance, just, I can't speak about it enough, how good it is in that scene. I love the cinematography of that scene. It almost felt like something of almost a one take stage show. Yeah. You could feel this energy where it felt like she was not improvising, but she was just in a zone. And I'm impressed. I really was impressed by it.
Yeah, in the wiki they talked about in the planning stages for this movie, how originally kind of would have led itself to a play, but there was no way that she could do this performance 8 times a week, which I didn't even consider, because the whole time I was watching, I was like, this should have been a play. This is a play. And then I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, she would not have survived.
No way.
It's a lot. It's just a heavy scene. And you just see so many players in the room, her, the doctor, the mother, Nick, and no one knows what to do, but everyone feels like they have the answer, and all she wants is to be heard and a little bit of compassion from anybody in that room. And she doesn't get it.
How about the size of the vial that doctor pulled out of his satchel? How much of that stuff does he need on a daily basis?
I mean, he had to sedate her, so
he could sedate freaking horse with that thing. My final thoughts and ratings, I'll go first. Obviously, her performance is like otherworldly, in my opinion. And I do want to seek out other films that she's been in. They are a lot of Cassavetes related work. I think she stars in a lot of his movies and works. With that said, the style of filmmaking, I think just maybe didn't work for me. I would have preferred someone other than Cassavetes doing it. I don't know if that's just this movie or his style, just really had a strong disconnect for me for whatever reason. So I am at 3 stars for A Woman Under the Influence. Pearl, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way of just not really connecting with the style of filmmaking from Cassavetes. I was not digging this. The first hour, I didn't really care for much of what I was seeing. We didn't really talk about the music. I thought that the soundtrack was great.
I was going to bring that up.
But I do feel like the ending of this movie, it's horrific, but it is an all-timer. And it kind of pays off in the end where, I didn't like the first half. I would like a 2-star, but like the ending of this is like a 5-star all-time moment scene.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt, a movie hasn't hit me this hard, I think, since I've watched Moonlight.
Excuse me.
It's like, it's like a movie that is important and it's like powerful, but I don't want to see again. Whereas like Moonlight, I felt like the whole thing was fantastic. That's like a 5, I give that movie 5 stars, I think. But this, it just didn't totally work for me. So I'm at 3 stars as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the score in this felt perfect. There was just enough of it that it felt like this kind of love melody that was trying to fight what you were seeing on screen. I really dug the score. And for me, I connected quite well to this movie. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't know, maybe Cassavetes' style is for me. I'm interested to digging into more of his work. The performances, Peter Falk played the perfect guy that I wanted to just wring his neck. By the end of this, I was so pissed at him. Like, he's so mad. And I don't know, maybe having some sort of dealt with manic sort of in our family at some point had some sort of weird effect on me, how I viewed this film. But Jenna is incredible. I can probably see myself watching this again for sure. And I'm going to continue some more Cassavetes stuff. So for me, this is 4.5 stars.
Wow. Former producer of the show, now disgraced, Ian, Ari Aster said he drew a lot of inspiration from this for Hereditary. Thoughts? I can see that. There's a dinner scene in Hereditary that will destroy you inside and out.
Yeah.
But have you seen Hereditary?
Yeah, I don't remember the dinner scene though. Sorry,
Aster.
With apologies to Aster and A24. Oh my God, Soph just posted the Iron Giant print. Just arrived. Mamma mia, looks beautiful. Thank you for choosing this movie. This is one of those movies that I probably never would have watched. Add it to the list, but I'm thankful that we watched it. Experience something brand new. I think we might have to get some voicemails. If you want to leave us a letter or a VM, you can do so at 70mmpod.com. There are links on there. Let's see. We have one that came in right before we recorded last week or right after. But let's get to that before we get to our host, next week's guest host.
Hi. I just want to say that I just started listening to your podcast, and I love it, particularly the Rosemary's Baby podcast episode.
Perfect timing.
Oh, my. Wow.
I think you might want to do a quick rewatch because the scene where Rosemary and Guy are eating the chocolate mousse, and, she doesn't want to eat it because it tastes chalky. And, he goads her to eat it. And she eats a little bit of it, but then she throws the rest out anyway. There's a scene in the hallway where I guess they're getting ready for bed, and she trips, and Guy catches her. If you listen very closely, he says Mia. And then I laughed. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I had to be watching. I'm like, what did he say? And he said Mia. And he didn't say Rosemary. So anyway, Take care, everybody. Keep up the good work. Take care and bye.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't even leave a name. Thanks for the VM.
That's a deep cut.
That was
That is a
deep.
deep
What are the
cut.
chances that is
Right.
the episode? This is another one of those moments.
I got the
You know,
chills.
I'm chilled up
Mhm.
right now hearing that VM. Mystery VM.
Cassavetes.
We'll just call her Rosemary.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Rosemary, don't be a stranger. So I said next week we would not be having a dude guest host. We are having a woman on Leading Ladies Month next episode. And we are having Soph be our guest host next week. You might have heard us mention Soph's name from the Hope This Finds Me Well podcast. See, she is also responsible for the transcripts for the 70mm podcast. We're very thankful for that. And she left a voicemail with her pick that we have not heard yet.
Here we go.
So let's get into that right now.
Hello, 70mm. It's Sophie. I promise I'm not calling in this time to rag on Proto. We talked
We'll
it
see.
out. He's supposedly going to finish the farewell. So it's water under the bridge. Proto, love ya. The real reason
Love you,
I'm
Soph.
calling in tonight is because you guys have asked me to be a guest on the pod next week, which is so cool. And I'm super, super stoked about it. And you're even letting me pick the movie, which is incredibly intimidating for some reason. I think, Leading Ladies Month, there's just so many ways you can go about it. So I've been honestly kind of stumped on what to pick for a while. But just like many other things in my life, when I don't know what to do, I just go with the most chaotic option.
Oh,
So-
gosh.
With that being said, I picked 1977's House. It's directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi.
I wanted to see this.
It's a Japanese movie that's kind of turned into like this cult classic in the horror genre.
Yeah.
I watched it somewhat recently, and it was a wild ride. Honestly, I still don't quite believe what I watched. So I'm happy that we're going to be able to watch it together and kind of unpack the absolute chaos that it is. And
wow.
to be quite honest, there's part of me that wants to do this movie just to hear Proto's synopsis of this movie. I think it'll be worth it just for that. But yeah, it's basically an entirely woman-led movie. So I thought it would fit pretty well with this month, and we can just have fun with it. So
Awesome.
yeah, can't wait to talk about it, and see you guys next week.
House.
Wow.
Streaming now on Criterion and HBO Max, 1977. I won't reveal my rating,
I know I've seen your
but I
rating for
will
this.
say that I referred to this as cinematic LSD for the soul in my review.
Lord.
I've wanted to watch this. I've seen it pop
Yeah,
up so
same.
many times.
I was planning on watching this in October.
Excuse.
Into October and May.
Here we go.
I'm
we
looking at some
go.
of the ratings here from our village. Wes, 4.5 stars. Ken, 4 stars. Lex, 4. My God.
Oh boy.
Ben, 3.5 stars.
Okay,
Ben, please.
Ben, read the room.
Ian in chat, who here is taking LSD for the live taping next week? Cut the stream. Oh, what a week next week. What an app this week. We
Mhm.
made it. Great pick, Danny. Glad we
Thank you.
started. I'm assuming we'll see more from Cassavetes over the next
Yeah, I
few
think
days,
so.
as well as Jenna on their journey.
You still feel solid about your pick now? How you feeling?
I couldn't be any more empowered with my pick.
Oh, baby.
It has not shifted.
Oh,
It has not shifted.
unwavering.
It's unwavering.
Bless.
Whew.
I can't wait to reveal my pick. Oh yeah, and the ladies bracket, we did it out. We didn't talk about it last week, but Proto, Proto's going out of town tonight.
I'll be
so,
doing it. Yeah.
So Danny
doing it.
will be finalizing the leading ladies March Madness
Mhm.
draft because this is a month with 5 weeks. So we will be having a villager voted episode. Villager vote for the leading lady, and then we will choose the movie that they're a part of for the final week of the month. And so stay tuned to the Discord, stay tuned to Patreon posts for that biz. Pardo, any closing thoughts for this week?
Closing thoughts. Man, this movie it's really heavy, but there's a lot of people out there. Once you get close to people and you know them, a lot of people are going through things. Maybe not as hard as Mabel, but could be something. And I think that's always important to remember that, for most people in our lives, we don't know what they're going through, but by giving someone just a little love, a little tenderness, a little care, it can go a long way. So just remember that, you don't know where someone is. That guy who cut you off in the grocery line, he knows where he is.
Wise words as ever, Pardo. Next week, Soph will be our guest, and there could be a few big announcements coming next week, along with her appearance. Stay tuned. We'll see everybody next week. "70mm" is a VHS Village production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Protolexis. Producer Emeritus, Dale_A. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. And you can support our Patreon for access to our Discord to talk movies with other villagers, get early access to episodes, discounts on merch, and a physical membership card mailed to you. If you would like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.